everyone, Draco Magnius here for another bonus episode of Let's Play Bioshock. Unless, of course, I've tacked this on to the last episode, in which case we're back. Anyway, in this part of the video, or in this episode, we're going to be heading off to the museum, so we can look at all the neat stuff that didn't get in the game or was concept art for the game. It's a very fun place. I really like how they did this. Welcome to the Museum of Orphaned Concepts, a guided tour of ideas that Irrational Games discarded or reworked heavily during the making of the original Bioshock. I also like the sea life hanging up, and I think this is a very cool way to do this, like, as a museum. So let's see, left or right first? Let's go to the left. Exhibit Forest Concept Art. Irrational's artists tried to envisage how an underwater city could actually function in this early conceptual work, if I could speak words, of Rapture. One idea imagined a thick forest for the purpose of oxygen exchange, seen here with an observation catwalk running around the edge. The concept of using trees for oxygen exchange made it to the final game in the Arcadia level. It looks very nice. I don't know if I like Arcadia more than this, or this more than Arcadia. Kind of hard to tell. Now, what about over here? Ugh! The fuck are these? These things are gross. And they kind of look like a weird, gross, cultish mask, if I'm being honest, from what I'm seeing. Let's see what these are. Exhibit, The Gatherer. It may be hard to imagine that this creature, whose job was to reclaim Adam from corpses around Rapture, was the earliest iteration of the idea behind the Little Sister. Since The Gatherer generated absolutely no sympathy from players, the team experimented with concepts for featuring a number of animals, including the infamous dog in a wheelchair, and later a grotesque miniature humanoid. Finally, a concept sketch of a deformed child inspired the eureka moment responsible for the Little Sisters. Just think about it. The Little Sisters could have been these weird, gross bug monsters. Yeah, no, I don't think I'd want to save this. I think I would want to destroy this immediately. Which kind of destroys the whole moral quandary thing, huh? Alright, let's go across now. Let's start with these guys. Look like an early Rosie. I do enjoy that, and I like the helmet. It looks really cool, in my opinion, but, you know. Let's see what it's all about. Exhibit, Slow Perfume. Irrational's internal name for this prototype Big Daddy variant, who mauled players with an enormous hook and fired iron bearings from a barrel, stood for Slow Projectile, Fucked Up Melee. He survived long enough to become a fully functional AI, but the team eventually cut him to focus on polishing the other Big Daddy types. This model later appeared in Bioshock 2 as the Rumbler, throwing miniature turrets instead of cannonballs. That's good. I like this one. I really like its appearance. I wish we got this over Rosie. I don't know why. I just enjoy, like, the... kind of looks like it's made of wood almost, and I like the cannon idea. And this looks like what would become the Bouncer. It's basically the Bouncer already. It just has those beat-em-up fists instead of drills. Exhibit, Early Bouncer. Nailed it in one. This original model for the Bouncer type of Big Daddy featured a flat-headed drill at the end of each arm. The Big Daddies were envisioned as the builders of Rapture, with weapons modified from tools they would have used in its construction. When the Gatherers were reimagined as Little Sisters, one of the Bouncer's drills was changed to a gloved hand, so the two characters could interact with each other. That's good. I don't see how this could, like, touch a little sister, pick her up. It would be very difficult. I mean, at least with the Slow Perfume, he has a well, 2 hands to, like, pick them up out of the vents and all that. Alright, let's see. Do we want to go all the way to the left, the right, or up? I know I looked the wrong way for both of those. Ooh. Well, these are interesting, horrifying abominations. Excuse me, sir. Huh. Kind of look like zombies. Ranged aggressor. Exhibit... What is that? Stitchy? Stitchy. Exhibit Stitchy. The first splicer that Irrational created for Bioshock. Stitchy was used in many early concept demos, and was fully functional in-game with kinematics, hit reactions, and voiceover. It took us that long to realize he wasn't a good model, says lead artist Sean Robertson. This is probably the worst abortion that Irrational has ever made. I don't know, I like it. It's like some weird, gross thing you would see in a Lovecraftian game. Or a zombie game. You know, could be either. I think this is good and they should have put it in the game, but again, that is just my opinion. Yeah. It seems like they were playing with an idea of having splicers be more demorphed than they were. Because I feel like all of the splicers in the game look like regular humans, except they just look kind of wonky in certain aspects. Exhibit Early Splicer Concept Art. These are some of the first concept sketches to show Bioshock's enemies moving in a more human-like direction. Artists coupled that approach with the idea that Adam deformed the body in a way that related to its intended function. For instance, a giant grotesque arm on a melee enemy. That would have been neat. I mean, I get why they didn't go with this in particular. It'd probably be a little more difficult to animate than just a regular humanoid. Oh well. Let's look at the one next to it. Again, maybe it's just my personal pleasures, but I keep seeing these things and I'm reminded of Eldritch Horror. Now, what's this guy? Another early Splicer concept art. These are some of the first concept sketches to show Bioshock's enemies moving towards more human-like direction. It's the same thing. Okay. Wait, really? This is a melee one? Giant grotesque arm. Okay, yeah, no, it's just... These are both images of early concept art. Okay. I like the one on the right. I wish he got in the game, because he's close enough to human where it wouldn't be too difficult to animate, I suppose. What else do we have over here? We've got another interesting guy over here. Looks like he's T-posing. Weird where they put what I'm assuming is atom injectors? Exhibit Pre-Yam Hand. Before solidifying the fiction around Adam, Irrational experimented with the idea of it being being an external injected substance. Here you can see us playing around with Adam being mechanically injected, said lead artist Sean Robertson. So this Splicer's got vials of it on his belt. This model was created but never made it into the game in any form. That's fair. I understand why they didn't go with this too. I mean, they went for an internal injection thing and this seems like super extra. I know I've said it a bunch, I wish this got in the game, but I understand why this isn't in, and I could do without this one. Still really would like to have this guy in, but, you know, can't always have what you want. Oh! Right, I forgot this is an Exhibit 2. Exhibit Hanging Sea Life. Not as much as the cut concept as an Easter egg for the observant museum visitors. These sea creatures can be seen swimming past the player's view during the bathysphere ride down to Rapture in Bioshock's opening sequence. Yep. Let's take a gander. Here's the big whale you see in the background. There's a giant squid that goes right in front of you. I don't think I ever saw the anglerfish. That looks to be a basking shark. Although there were, like, exhibits near the end in the Proving Grounds. Like, I remember seeing this basking chart and this anglerfish in a display case. And then there was that was hanging up. But let's continue looking at the lower levels here. Huh. You look like what the spider splicer would become. I like the claws everywhere. Or the hooks, rather. But not much else. Although if she's trying to creep you out, this is a very, very good creeping you out model, I think. It's pretty creepy. Exhibit Hooker! Created around the same time as Stitchy and the Grenader, this splicer was dubbed the Hooker because of her weapon of choice. This concept evolved into the Spider Splicer, when it was decided that the splicer models could fill any behavior role, and the Hooker model later became the Baby Jane Splicer. Huh. Interesting. Baby Jane Splicer? I'm not super familiar with that. Huh. Interesting. What is this thing around her neck? Is it like a neck brace? Anyway, let's move on to what I'm assuming is the Grenader. Oh, wait, no. First, we got this art here. Exhibit Neptune's Bounty concept art. This area appears in the Neptune's Bounty level of Bioshock, but the bodies floating in the ocean were cut late in development when their cast shadows proved too distracting from the action in the room. That's fair. Oh, I see the bodies now. Gotcha. Okay. And then we have this over here, which I'm assuming is more Neptune's Bounty. I might need to take a sip of water. All this talking is stressing the throat. Exhibit Early Environmental Study. The location depicted here was built for the Vision demo of Bioshock, a small level demonstrating several of the key elements of the game, such as the Big Daddies and the Gatherers. Alright, let's move on to what I'm assuming is Grenader. Look at this unit! Does he have, like, 5 o'clock shadow? I think he does. He's also got, like, handlebars in him? Huh. Interesting. See, I like this concept of all these unique, different-looking things, because I feel like one of the biggest problems with the splicers is they're all kind of samey. They all look pretty much human with some variations in, like, dimorphities, but that's it. I feel like it'd be so cool if we had stuff like Hooker and Grenader and what's his name over there that's drawing a blank? I'm drawing a blank right now. Exhibit Grenader Splicer. This gray elephantine splicer was an early Grenader from the same period of development as Stitchy and Hooker. He was a guy who spliced to carry around giant grenades and throw them at you, says lead artist Sean Robertson. The model was built and textured, but never animated. That's seriously a shame. I wonder why. I mean, I guess it's because it's easier to make just a bunch of humanoids, but I think it'd be cool if they had the humanoid splicers and they, you know, maybe had guns and some of the stuff that you had. And then there were these unique ones that spliced themselves so far that they demorphed into these almost bordering eldritch horror cultist-esque things. But alas, we didn't get that. So let's take a look at these and see what they are. Interesting. Early splicer concept art. Moving from grotesque to human was a slow process. While early concepts saw the melee enemies grew monstrous arms, the team had trouble conveying how someone who had spliced to become a marksman would appear. I could see that. I mean, it's also weird that they're going with the, like, external stuff on this one again, too. I suppose, but... I mean, I guess if you're trying to be a marksman, you maybe have a scope on your eyes, so I guess that's where the mask comes in, and maybe it controls his breathing a little bit. So he has a steadier hand. I understand why they might have some difficulty with trying to figure out how to marksman. Okay, so now we have what looks to be a whip of Big Daddy. Early Big Daddy concept art. These are early concepts for the Rosie type of Big Daddy who, like the bouncer, was envisioned as a construction worker who had been repurposed as a protector for the gatherers. Okay. And then we have the colored version of that same whip. These are early concepts, Rosie. Okay, it's exactly the same. It's weird that they give them both their own plaque instead of putting it in the middle, but hey, I didn't design the museum. Okay. Okay, so we got a few things. Let's see, left or right? Let's go right. Oh, I see one of the previous bouncers. Big Daddy concept art. This is an early concept depicting a Big Daddy bursting through a wall, which inspired the audio log in the Big Daddy training grounds area about a rogue Big Daddy. The player then encountered him at the end of the level. Yeah, I did encounter him. I mean, I didn't hear the audio log about a rogue Big Daddy, but that was interesting. Oop, hold on. Exhibit Sub-Bay concept art. This concept sketch depicting what would later become the submarine bay, an area which housed an important scene for Atlas. Interesting. All right, let's go to the other way now. What's going on over here? Huh. This looks like maybe Fort Frolic? Exhibit Fleet Hall concept art. This early concept for Sander Cohen's Fleet Hall was created after level building had begun, when the designers found they were having difficulty conceptualizing the theater space. It was one of the earliest spaces built for Bioshock, and many of the assets used in this museum come from that area. Interesting. And I was right, it is Fort Frolic. Ha-ha! Then we have this. Huh. Definitely some derelict space. What's this? Exhibit Iconic Rapture Concepts. This was the first image that really captured all the visual elements that made Bioshock, Bioshock. A large view of the ocean, the aquatic lighting scene, and the elegant Art Deco design elements. Without this image, Bioshock would have been a radically different beast. It's true. This does look very Bioshock. Alright, so what are we going next? We've got two things and then something in the middle. Let's go with the guy over here that looks like he's in the middle of mutating into some eldritch horror again. Seriously, a lot of eldritch horrors here. Kind of like this guy. He's another one I'd say I'd like to see in there. Exhibit Yam Hand Model. This character, derisively called Yam Hand around Irrational Games, was the poster child of the conceptual phase that preceded the decision to go with human enemies. I'd point out the drawings behind the model, says lead artist Sean Robertson. You can see the top one got built. The other two inform the design as well. As we trended more towards humanoids, the Scooby monsters got goofier and less scary. I mean, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, let's go to here. Whatever the fuck this thing is. Early creature concepts. These were some of the earliest pieces done for Bioshock, from back when Irrational was still working on SWAT 4, whatever the hell that is. I honestly don't know what that is. The only concrete ideas at this point were an undersea city and biological experimentation, so early concepts focused on these themes. Huh. Yeah. Okay, yeah, they all say the same thing. Kinda wish that was in the game. Ah! Hold on. Slime from slug. Blood on inside of glass ports. Tarnished brass. So they kept the slug, they kept the diver suit, but they separated them and refined them. Interesting. Early Big Daddy concept art. This was the fourth protector? This was the fourth Protector concept, originally created with an organic slug attached to it. A model was started but never completed, as the team narrowed their focuses to 3 and finally just 2 daddy types. I still like this Protector, says artist Rob Waters. We started modeling and I really pushed to get it in, even just as a static model on the floor, but it never made it. Oh, that's a shame. This one looks kind of cool. Alright, now we move on to this dude with his gun and his weird hand. No, actually, this is just gloved. This is just some dude. And he seems to be missing his heart. I'm kidding, I know the heart's in the center. What else we got? That looks cool. That's also interesting. That looks like it could have been in Steinman's medical office. Huh. Alright, and what are you, friend? Hello? Exhibit, Missing Link Model. This character is essentially the missing link between the grotesque early designs and the human splicers that appeared in Bioshock. This is the last bad model we did before moving on to what actually went into the shipping game, says lead artist Sean Robertson. After playing with him for a while, we just said, why don't we use humans instead? I always thought of these as Scooby-Doo monsters, because they were too inhuman to invoke empathy. I mean, I guess I understand what they're saying. They wanted to go for a more empathetic feel. But I feel like you could do that with these grotesque monsters because they used to be human. Like I was saying, you have some humans, you have some of these guys mixed in with that, and you would just write them with their distorted voices, mourning that they look like this now. And I feel like you'd get the point across. Maybe that's just me. I feel like they figured, them being too monstrous makes them less empathetic, but I feel like that makes them more. Oh, hey, there's some stuff I missed down here. Okay, there's this, and I think then we're done. Interesting. Exhibit, Protector Concept Art. The Big Daddies, originally called Protectors, were envisioned as dive suit construction workers retasked with the defense of atom gatherers. They used construction tools or improvised weapons that looked like they had been found on the sea floor. From left to right are early concepts for the melee-ranged and slow projectile protectors. Okay, so that's a melee guy. It's a ranged guy. And that's a ranged guy. They all say the same thing? They do indeed. Okay. Well, I think we're going to end this bonus episode here. In the next one, I think we're going to cover the additional content challenges. But that's for future me to worry about. See you guys then.